The magician is the archetype of transformation and profound knowledge. It represents the pursuit of the transformative power of life and the ability to access deep and hidden knowledge. It seeks to understand the mysteries of the universe and transform oneself and the world around. The magician embodies the archetype of those who wish to explore the essential principles governing how things work and employ them to make things happen. It brings the frequency of transformation and change, but the actions are more focused on self-awareness, such as changing behavior and reconsidering attitudes. The first step to activate the magician archetype and embody the mental patterns of creativity, initiative, and communication is to understand and accept the power you have in creating your own reality. When it comes to activating an archetype, we are talking about acting as the archetype itself would act. As the power of the magician in each of us is potentially significant, integrating the shadow is essential so that we do not consciously use our power for malicious purposes. The goal is to understand our role in this cosmic game. Elevation, however, is a movement towards unity. You have managed to unite what was separated, that is, to unite the above and the below. Psychologically, the idea is to align your consciousness with your unconscious so that your unique story unfolds in life. We all enter these altered states, but most of us choose not to become too aware of them. To behold a universe in a tiny grain of sand and glimpse a firmament in a wildflower, hold the boundless in the palm of your hand and eternity in a single hour. The sorcerer is the most enigmatic and captivating archetype of all. The allure that the sorcerer has exerted on the human mind since ancient times becomes evident when quickly examining myths, legends, literary works, films, and video games in which they play a role. In literature, they often appear as an elder sage, a prophet, a hermit, or a visionary who dwells apart from society, in contact with nature, animals, and the numinous. The sorcerer is someone who has attained esoteric or occult knowledge, bringing the spiritual into the material realm. They possess what the visionary English artist William Blake calls a quadruple vision, a glimpse of eternity where the minutest details of the world take on cosmic meanings. Thus, the sorcerer maintains a deep connection with the invisible realm, coexisting with us but at a different level of reality or consciousness. They serve as mentors or guides to their people and even to monarchs. In ancient times, when a king succumbed to anger and sought to mete out unjust punishments, the sorcerer, with thoughtful wisdom, would revive the king's conscience and common sense, freeing them from tempestuous moods. The court magician, indeed, was the king's psychotherapist. Rulers who disregarded the sorcerer's counsel were more likely to become tyrannical dictators, leading to the downfall of their empires. The sorcerer remains ever present in our collective consciousness, embodied in figures like Professor Dumbledore in Harry Potter, Gandalf in The Lord of the Rings, and the Jedi Masters Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars, among others. At the onset of the hero's journey, the young protagonist receives assistance from mentors endowed with magical powers, enabling them to acquire practical knowledge and skills to face challenges and share the acquired treasure with their people, thus maturing into adulthood. The sorcerer is initiated into the secret and hidden knowledge of all kinds. Every knowledge requiring special training falls within the domain of the sorcerer's energy. The most renowned archetype of the sorcerer is Merlin from Arthurian legend, inspiring modern popular fiction. Merlin is a wise one gifted with clairvoyance, prophecy, and magical abilities. He plays a significant role in chivalric romance, guiding King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table on their quest for the Holy Grail. Despite remaining mostly concealed, Merlin's presence is deeply felt. Alongside Merlin, another prominent sorcerer archetype is Thoth, the ancient Egyptian god of wisdom, magic, and writing, later merging with Hermes, the Greek messenger of the gods, giving rise to Hermes Trismegistus, the wise and magician. The latter is revered by all truth-seekers, associated with works like the Emerald Tablet and Hermetic texts covering topics from astrology to religious and spiritual teachings. While classical scholars discredited magical texts as superstitious, some view them as valuable religious literature. Practitioners of magic have faced persistent persecution throughout history, as magic was deemed heretical, an undesirable and improper expression of the other religion. This context led to intense witch hunts, especially in modern Europe. Magic, indeed, represents the shadow of religion, manifesting its unknown, repressed, and hidden qualities. Astrology evolved into astronomy, and alchemy not only birthed chemistry but, according to Jung, preceded our modern psychology of the unconscious. Thus, magic is also called the mother of science. Despite persecutions, sorcerers could not be eradicated. None of the archetypes of the collective unconscious can be expelled. Jungian analyst Marie-Louise von Franz emphasizes, magic is probably one of the oldest spiritual activities of man. Whenever a new conscious attitude arises, the old knowledge, the previous attitude, sinks to the level of magic. Therefore, magic is the oldest form of knowledge and spiritual and religious activity, replaced by a new spiritual and religious attitude and thus returning to a more unconscious condition. Fertility rituals, one of the oldest forms of magic, were employed to appease gods and ensure bountiful harvests and female fertility. Using sympathetic magic based on the principle of correspondence, these rituals proposed that one can influence something based on its likeness to another. Paleolithic cave paintings, associated with hunting magic, may have represented pre-hunt rituals or the consecration of the animal to be hunted. Magical religious impulses have permeated recorded history and presumably even earlier. An example is the enigmatic painting The Sorcerer, found in a French cave known as the Sanctuary, created around 13,000 BC, representing a spirit or master of animals. In ancient Mesopotamia, scribes would inscribe magical incantations on cuneiform clay tablets. The rituals were conducted by the Asapu, experts in the magical arts, but also well-versed in medicine, priesthood, and studies. Often, these magicians played the role of advisors to kings and important leaders. Apotropaic magic was used as a defense against malevolent sorcerers and to neutralize malignant influences such as curses or the evil eye, employing amulets, talismans, specific gestures, among other methods. Even today, we still knock on wood as a gesture to ward off misfortune, highlighting the persistence of apotropaic magic. In ancient Greece, this practice became widespread. The Sumerian god Enki was associated with magic, considered the ultimate source of arcane knowledge. For both ancient Mesopotamians and Egyptians, magic was an integral part of life, with no clear distinction between rational science and magical practices. The Egyptians deified magic in the form of the god Heka, emphasizing the power of words to give life to things. A comparison can be drawn with the magical word abracadabra, found in late Greek writings and used on amulets to ward off diseases, possibly related to the Gnostic god Abraxas. Another contemporary magical expression is a hocus pocus, which might derive from the Latin mass phrase meaning, "This is the body of Christ." The Egyptians incorporated magic into all stages of life, including the afterlife. In the afterlife, the heart was weighed on a scale against a feather during judgment. Those with pure hearts advanced to Aru, the Egyptian paradise. Magical spells, found in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, provided protection and guidance on the journey through the underworld. Practitioners of magic often used grimoires or spell books, such as the Gayat al-Akm or Picatrix, a treatise from the 10th or 11th century based on Hermetic and Neoplatonic ideas. In biblical tradition, King Solomon is known for his wisdom, but in apocryphal works, he is also associated with magic. The Key of Solomon is a grimoire describing necessary preparations for magical operations, including materials, astrological timing, and symbols. However, caution is needed as there are risks involved, as demonstrated in the famous fictional Necronomicon by H.P. Lovecraft, revealing humanity risking lives for hidden knowledge. The archetype of the apprentice wizard, popularized by Goethe, portrays the challenges of the contemporary era, including issues like nuclear energy, genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality. We are entering a post-human era, facing unique existential challenges. Materialistic science, in its quest for knowledge and control, has generated challenges to human existence itself. In this scenario, the integration of the magician archetype is essential. In 16th-century English literature, C.S. Lewis highlights the shift from medieval magic to the Renaissance, linked to hidden knowledge explored through books and rituals. Figures like the English mathematician and magician John Dee and the Swiss alchemist Paracelsus played significant roles in merging medicine and magic, bringing innovations to magical practices. Alongside Sir Edward Kelly, an occultist and seer, they developed the angelic or Enochian language, purportedly revealed by angels during their mystical experiences. During this period, alchemy also experienced a resurgence, and legend has it that Nicolas Flamel, a French scribe, discovered the philosopher's stone, thereby achieving immortality. A notable work is The 12 Keys, attributed to Basil Valentine, possibly a pseudonym used by one or more German authors, and published by Johann Thold in 1599. It provides an allegorical description of the 12 steps through which the philosopher's stone can be created, transforming base metals into gold. Mercury, the Roman counterpart of Hermes, also plays a crucial role in alchemy, symbolizing the philosopher's stone. Jung states, Mercury is at the beginning and end of the work. He is metallic, yet liquid, matter, yet spirit, cold, yet fiery, poison, and yet healing, a symbol that unites all opposites. Historians distinguish between low magic and high magic. Low magic is associated with spells, enchantments, and simple witchcraft, also known as goetia, considered fraudulent. On the other hand, high magic or theurgy is seen as divine magic. We can also differentiate between white magic and black magic. White magic employs the powers of nature and the mind for good, being altruistic and virtuous. Every practitioner of white magic must possess a strong moral character, resulting in greater inner enlightenment. The white mage sees themselves as a channel of divine power, enabling them to render benevolent services to humanity. When magic is used for selfish ends, it becomes black magic, instilling fear and dread. The black mage abuses their power for personal gain, controlling others or causing harm. Thus, the distinction between white and black magic lies in the intention behind the action. Jung notes, magic exercises a compulsion that prevails over the conscious mind and the will of the victim. A strange will arises in the bewitched and proves stronger than their ego. The terms magician, mage, and sorcerer are often interchangeable, although subtle differences exist. Generally, a magician is anyone practicing magic. A mage is typically a scholarly practitioner of magical arts, while a sorcerer possesses an innate gift or gained magical powers through supernatural pacts, often associated with witchcraft and voodoo. Enchanters are known for casting spells involving magical objects, amulets, and talismans, while necromancers use magic to communicate with the dead, seeking to predict future events or uncover hidden knowledge. Druids in ancient Celtic cultures, though leaving no written records, are mentioned by Alexander Polyhistor as philosophers inspired by Pythagoras, discussing the immortality of the soul and transmigration. Mystics and Gnostics seek gnosis, direct knowledge of the divine, through meditation, prayer, and rituals, aiming to achieve unity with the inner center and align personal will with divine will. The shaman, found in Siberian tribes and Native American cultures, is a healer who, after overcoming a crisis, can heal others, serving as a technician of the sacred. The analytical psychologist is likened to a modern shaman, seeking to heal patients and teach them about the significance of dreams. The mandala, a sacred symbol of the self, represents balance and totality, reducing confusion to order. The magician, an archetype of transformation, alters consciousness and serves as a guide to attaining higher awareness and recognizing a higher power. Magic is present in many aspects of everyday life, and magical principles are unconsciously used by many people. The magician, responsible for seemingly miraculous events, offers glimpses of the transcendent, temporarily suspending rational beliefs. Psychologically, the magician is the archetype of transformation, capable of changing reality by transforming consciousness. The microcosm and macrocosm reflect each other. Sometimes, the simplest things contain an immense magical impact. Our universe is brimming with magic and wonders, visible to those who have eyes to see, and it is our responsibility to awaken to the true beauty of existence. The order we establish in our inner world correlates with the order in the external world. Therefore, if we aspire to a peaceful world, we must begin by becoming peaceful ourselves. As we cultivate holistic health, each of us sets off a cascading effect on others. This reflects a fundamental truth shared by almost all religions worldwide, summed up in the Golden Rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Loving your neighbor as yourself, as stated in the Mahabharata, emphasizes that we should not cause to others what we consider harmful to ourselves. Dharma, as expressed in this ancient Sanskrit poem, advocates virtuous living, while karma introduces the relationship of cause and effect, influencing the future and rebirth based on people's actions and deeds. There seems to be a universal law of balance in nature where our actions toward others return to us. This is the divine energy intrinsic to each individual, following the logic of Newton's third law: for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. The distinction between good and evil not only confines itself to our physical existence but can also transcend beyond it. Hindu and Buddhist cosmology, for instance, presents the net of Indra, an infinite cosmic structure with jewels reflected in each eye of the net, suggesting an infinite interconnectedness. Shamans perceive the world as a vast network of energy known as anima mundi, while Melanesian and Polynesian cultures introduce the concept of mana, a supernatural power emanating from individuals, objects, and events. The shadow magician, involved in dark magic, employs knowledge to manipulate and control for personal gain, in contrast to the white magician, who seeks to serve humanity. Shadow integration is essential to avoid the malevolent use of the magical power within each of us. The magician is also associated with the archetype of the healer, but when inflated, it can lead to arrogance and a loss of humanity, turning into charlatans or false leaders. The trickster magician, represented by Mercury and Hermes, is associated with illusion, while the traditional trickster in cultures serves to lighten the seriousness of the magician. Both share the ability to create illusions and reveal underlying truths. The true power of the magician lies in understanding unity, as expressed in the symbolism of the tarot, where the magician represents undifferentiated totality. The magician's journey is solitary, involving the exploration of the psyche to bring the unknown to light. The practice of magic, as outlined by Jung, is to make understandable what escapes rational understanding. Magic remains an unfathomable mystery, transcending reason, and its complete understanding is only achieved with gnosis. The magician, in uniting what has been separated, symbolizes the integration of the divine and the human, revealing the transcendental nature of spiritual reality. Much of our internal negativity arises from repression. The point is not to eliminate it but to transform it, allowing it to resurface, be recognized, and assume a new form. The ability to learn to transform emotional energy is intrinsically linked to the skill of fully experiencing our feelings. This dynamic is evident in personal relationships, where expressing our pain or anger often leads to greater intimacy and love. When someone opens up to feel another person's pain and goes through it together, often both feel better in the end. The power of words is evident in psychoanalysis, known as healing through speech. We acknowledge that challenges in our external life reflect our inner state, and dealing with this can be painful when healing seems unattainable. The highest form of healing involves a balance between body, soul, and spirit. Healthy nutrition, physical activity, connection with our inner selves, and fidelity to our spiritual source play crucial roles in this balance. Sometimes magic lies in the simplicity of prayer. Many magic practitioners request what is needed: health, forgiveness, transformation, resources. As long as it is reasonable and within human possibilities, these aspirations can be achieved. The answer often comes from the wisdom of a higher power than ours, reflecting the principle recorded in Matthew 7 verse 7, "Ask, and it will be given to you, seek, and you will find, knock, and the door will be opened to you." Interestingly, the number 7 is considered the most mystical of all numbers, symbolizing completeness and conclusion, as God finished his work, blessed it, and rested on the seventh day. It is the most cited number in the Bible. Great inventions and wonders of the world often begin as images in the unconscious. By paying attention to these images, we bring them into consciousness and manifest them in the external world. The magician materializes the realm of fantasy and imagination into reality, being a visual creator. In numerology, this relates to the master number 22, master builder, capable of realizing dreams. To some extent, our thoughts have the power to create reality. Belief is not trivial, it produces tangible results. The mind can even have the power to heal, as demonstrated in placebo-controlled studies. In the New Age perspective, the law of attraction posits that positive thoughts attract positive results, while negative thoughts bring negative results. However, this approach is psychologically limited, as we should not impose our will on reality. Surrendering to both the positive and the negative, accepting that both coexist, is essential because this duality is the fundamental reality of the human condition. Synthesis, not repression of negativity, brings the fullness of being, psychic wholeness, balance, and harmony. Positive thinking should not be used as a way to avoid responsibility for the harm caused to oneself or others. When we harm, it is necessary to ask for forgiveness and, whenever possible, seek reconciliation. The magician incorporates the practice of rituals, symbolizing transformative commitments, connecting us and linking us to our historical ancestors over time. Ritual practices can vary among individuals and traditions, including meditation, active imagination, prayer, entheogens, among others. Psychologically, the goal is to align consciousness with the unconscious, allowing each person's unique story to unfold in life. Just as fruits and flowers grow naturally in our garden, our life experiences await discovery, nurturing our soul. The magician embarks on a journey to other worlds through altered states of consciousness. We all experience these states, but many choose not to become fully aware of them. However, these experiences provide profound wisdom and a transpersonal connection that significantly enriches the rest of our lives. Awakening the inner magician involves awareness when entering these alternative planes of reality. Synchronicities become more frequent and inner images materialize in our external reality without apparent causal connection, as if we had evoked them, conveying a special message. Decoding the meaning of such events is part of integrating the magician archetype. Many try to meditate and implant favorable images in the unconscious through self-hypnosis or other techniques, but the unconscious cannot be manipulated by the force of will. The unconscious is, by definition, unconscious. A more useful approach, practiced since ancient times, is to observe thoughts, feelings, and inner images and allow any images to appear in the mind. The inner magician helps to become aware of the power visions within us, making it possible to bring them into reality or transform repressed contents into something beautiful, because the magician has the gift of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. Our inner images long to manifest, struggling against our indifference to emerge from the unconscious, similar to a sculpted stone waiting to be freed by the sculptor. Some artists claim not to create their figures but rather to carve away the superfluous material so that the image already present in the unconscious can remain free. Similarly, when faced with a state of confusion, diving into the eternal inner guide helps us understand the origin of the confusion and clarify conflicting impulses. If the observer could enter these images in their imagination, approaching them in the fiery chariot of their contemplative thought. If he could make one of these wonderful images a friend and companion, then he would emerge from his tomb, then he would find the Lord in the air, and then he would be happy.